Good morning, everyone. After the storm, we've got a little bit of wind yesterday, and now it's cool again in the morning. I'm not quite in the sun yet. It's still early. All those that came in and filled up the campsites last night are all slowly feeling their way around as they're starting to pack up. The weekend warriors come out just for the weekend, which is what I encourage you to do. You don't have to even camp. You can just drive out to these parks and enjoy them. So we're going to have another little chat by this river. I'm here for another week. And then I move to my long-term stay, which is not next to the river, but it's next to the lakes that are next to the river. So we still have water. And the fishing is actually a little better in the lakes than it is in the river. This moves along pretty fast here. It's hard for the fish to find a place to go look for food. So what's going on in the world? Pretty much the same old thing. I mean, we've got Texas passes a law saying the sheriffs can arrest illegal aliens, and then the state Supreme Courts all overturn it and say you can't do that. Of course, it's in their state constitution, it's in the federal constitution that you can do that. So they're all, the higher-ups are just ignoring it. So it finally got to the Supreme Court, and they agreed with Texas. You have the right to do that. Now, we'll see how long that lasts. They were about ready to tell the Supreme Court to pack up and get out. We don't want you anymore, but they haven't quite got the guts to do it yet. I suspect later this year they will come up with a reason. If we're under martial law, I have to look this up. I don't remember. I did at one time, but I don't remember now. If they're under martial law, do they have to follow the law? A lot of what they do, they don't follow the law on, so my guess is that they don't have to. So I would watch for that this year. Watch for economic collapse this year. They've raised the gas price during an election year now. It's up like 20 cents from a month or two ago now. They're milking the holiday. We've got Good Friday and Easter coming up. Purim has started, or we've already had that. It's hard to keep track of days for me. But we're in the middle of Ramadan, yet a bunch of Jews yesterday were up on the Temple Mount. The terrorists hate that. They're not fighting back. They can't get people willing, they can't find as many people willing to kill themselves because that's what's going to take. Hamas is almost wiped out. The only part that's left of them now is, well, they got back into the hospital, but they're weeding them back out. They're using this time to basically delay, because the world wants them to basically end the war. They're not going to. I'm back. We had a photographer walking down here, big long lens on his camera, looking for things to shoot, and we're saying there's just nothing going around, and then in comes one of our eagles and flew by. So we got some pictures of that, so that was good. And I sent him down to the eagle's nest that's down that way to see if the eagles are there to get any shots of. More people coming into the park. So anyhow, where were we? Netanyahu told our president that it would be nice if you stood with us while we finished off Hamas, but if you won't, we'll do it alone. In other words, go pound sand. So anyhow, things are continuing. They're not getting better, they're not getting worse, it's just kind of gradual. We're kind of in the doldrums, the calm before the storm. So let's see what happens over Easter coming up. I really don't expect the rapture then. I still think it's a fall one, but some people are predicting a spring one. We don't necessarily have to have it this year, but everything points to it. But everything's been pointing to it since 2017, so where are we? Well, we're still here doing our job. Help people. Help them if people are suffering. You need to be helping them, but you need to be telling them about Jesus as well. Because this is our last chance. When we're taken out, there will be some people down here who were sitting on the fence and wouldn't make up their mind. That will be enough. When we're gone, they will realize that, and that will tip them over, and then they will get out there. But God's going to pull from His elite, from His chosen people, and continue to spread the word. We are going to possibly see, I don't know if they're going to cover it or not, the red heifer sacrifice coming up. That's one of the big things coming up. They don't want that. The Muslims don't want it. The terrorists don't want it. I don't know if we're going to get it or not. We'll find out. Because of so much terrorism and so much hatred for the Jews and not wanting them to get any improvements, I would think that they would probably do it completely in isolation so that nobody knows. They may even deny that they did. So let's wait and find out. It would be an in-your-face to the Muslims for completing that, because that's the last step for needing the, for doing the temple. So we just have to keep an eye. See, Ukraine's pretty much doing the same thing. Russia's trying to blame the attack in Moscow on them as their reason for continuing their war. Frankly, I think Russia wants to get out of the war. They can't find a way to gracefully do it. So we'll see. We'll keep watching the news. So this is going to be, I'm going to have some intermediate videos during the week. I'm going to continue to talk about John. I'm going to look at his letters next. And then we'll get into some Revelation if I have time. Now we've covered a lot of it, so I might jump into it. Jump further than we've normally cover and go from like chapter 13 on. So I'm trying to plan all that now, decide how much I can cover in a day. Some of it gets to be hard reading because there's a lot of detail. We pretty much know all the stories. And again, everything that's in Revelation, a lot of the references that are in the New Testament are just pulling from the Old Testament. So we got to go back and forth and see where it came from. People getting ready to go for a hike. I think the trails ought to be dry enough. There's still a little mud in camp. The trail should be dry enough for them to walk it. It's level enough that you won't slide around too much. So pray for our country that we can sustain long enough until we're not needed. We're not going to fix this problem because it's in the Bible. We're living in the Bible now. The harlot is doing her thing. The 7 kings are out there, one of which will become the 8th king, but he hasn't yet because they're all still alive. So who is it going to be? I don't know. You could pick any one of these rich guys, and that's what they are. They're kings by name only because they don't have a crown. So they've got to be our rich guys. And there's a bunch of them out there, and some more prominent than others, but they're calling the shots. And they don't fear God. The world will eventually, but we won't have to put up with it. So keep busy, keep working, keep your lamps filled. We don't know when he's coming back, but it's soon. Till we meet in the clouds. God bless. I'll give you a bit of a view of the public area along the river. Come on out, you've got a nice picnic table and a barbecue. Little table to work on next to it. Everything you need to come out with the family and have a good time out here. You can hike the trails, cook your hamburgers and hot dogs, and the river's right there. And it's pretty calm. There's my swing that I like. The river itself is down. The rain is gone now for a little while, at least I hope. Still a little bit of mud on here from the river piling it up. They'll come and scrape it off eventually. A little bit of a farm across the way. And the river really looks clean. They went along yesterday and collect trash. There's a dumpster up there that they dumped it in. I haven't looked at it, but last year they got quite a bit. Peaceful and enjoyable. I'll be here another week. I'm working next week. So let me go have my little Riverside chat and we'll see what's going on.